Okay, let's restart the streaming. So previously, for the last few minutes ago, I already streaming about how to create. Now I have more improved on the game engine. I think it's supposed to be open the Blender first, then the OBS. And I hope this will be worked. And I'll make a very short streaming today. Okay, now increase to 50. I think it's because I'm streaming and it has a rasterizing increase. Animation was increased as well, but it doesn't matter right now. Perhaps there's a problem with my hard drive, and the cache from the storage itself is kind of a little bit too much. Maybe different stack of system itself. So the grass and the tree, not the whole tree, not the modifiable tree which is still hidden, not loaded that yet for now, for today's preview. So this is the grass they use for some sort of dynamic loading or area loading. So only for the grass for that, not including the other stuff like modifiable trees. It's supposed to be on the modifiable trees too. So the frame rate is not dropped because the rasterizing too much alpha texture, and because my graphic card so sucks. Okay, this grass actually only spawn in the small area. I already tried it out with the library load, and when I use the library, there's a fluctuation because I was loading the new area from the grass and delete it again. I think it's supposed to be not reaching 30 FPS. Let's go this way. It's not decreasing again, fluctuations. And in my offline or not streaming, it's still 50 or 40 FPS, which is good. It's probably already spawned there, around this place, around this position. And then I'm going to the corner of the area itself, which is the corner of the maps, and the corner size of the grass section. So we will be increase the frame rate again because there's an empty grass around there in the further area. Okay, let's try. So the grass only spawn on this area only. It's because I already deleted the further area of the grass, so that's why it's increasing the frame rate into the 50 to 40. And now let's try the water. Oh, it's too deep. Oh no, I'm still walking. Oh man, I should. Oh yes, I think because I'm walking, because it still has a gravity in it, that's why it's very sync. Yes, I forgot, because the last time I was tested out in the testing file, the first time I just loaded, before this map, before I loaded this map, it's flat area. It's not supposed to be activated the physics, or maybe I'm going to decrease the gravity itself. It's still kind of drowning a little bit over time, and it will be sync. Otherwise you just have to move around or move up like a sweep, more immersive sweep. still walking on the water. I think I have to delete that. Delete the physics for the ground, because the player physics, the entire body is from the chest into the foot, I think, yes. So the river is still not animated yet, not for now, only for the lake, and still has a different color in it. Only for the animation for the lake, not for the river yet. Just only use the texture and the transparency. It's kind of good place for this small river. Remind me for on Green Hill. I like to make a camp or make a settlement nearby a small river, because it has a small fish perhaps. Good time for a survival game. And a crafting game is very interesting and quite fun to play with. And there is a tree over here. I think I'm supposed to delete this one, but maybe next time. I already delete the physics only for this trees that's spawning in this area. Good, because there's no grass nearby, and the further grass is deleted by simple logic, which is end objects, and I use a message rather than direct near sensor, because it's not going to work. It will crash the game. Near sensor and end game, or remove objects, and objects, and not. It was remove. Let's see, this is supposed to be swimming as well. As you can see, it's supposed to be not walking, and because the collision has to be attached, still attached in the surface of the water, that's why the swimming animation works. So I have to prevent the player itself. Maybe this animation I'm going to use the condition that's not supposed to be working. Still like swimming underwater, which is diving. I'm going to make condition not not going to use in the water. Still has to using the condition, which is the properties, after I just touch this, or maybe I'll be using a box or something. Box will be quite useful, because it will still have water. Okay, the grass is done. The swimming not quite completed yet, and the grass is only for the 4th section of the map. There is 2/3 area which is I still have to figure out. It was quite effort to select the grass, which is so massive, into the different section, and added some logic into their parents. Very easy task, but still has time to do. Has so much time to finish that up. Okay, the trees is done, so I'm not showing up the LED tree for the 3rd LED scene as a background scene. As you can see, there is no trees on the further area over that mountain. It used to be has a bigger tree like this one. This big pine tree is supposed to be showing up, and I already deleted because it's decreased the performance. I'll figure out that it's very easy. Let's go swimming again. I think it's already done, this one. Okay, she's so strong today. So you can see the previous swimming while I just doing this. Maybe tomorrow, maybe a few days, I will stream again and make a schedule on it. I already has plan for next streaming. I will remove this walking animation inside the water, and it's still supposed to be works this way. maybe some effect like a darker area inside water, the camera effects, and then go back to the grass. Not so much because the grass is not the entirely added into the map. If I just entirely added even just for section of the map, it's still decreasing into the 20 FPS. It's like yesterday's streaming is very laggy and dropping the performance. It's just maybe about 30 to 40 FPS because I'm streaming. If I'm not streaming, it's still attached into 40 and 50 FPS, which is good. Okay, it's done. Now it's kind of fluctuation because I loaded the new grass area just in front of me, and another grass again. Maybe I'm going to decrease the detection size. It's supposed to be maybe 2 or 3 grass at a time. And it actually animated grass. Some of them maybe not, because the issue for a generator itself, using the hair generator with the Blender renders, it was supposed to be used for the static only, because I have this animation on the grass, and not supposed to be added some animation, because I will plan it into the texture animation for the next time. This grass animation is actually objects animation, which is using the same key, and it's quite laggy for my PC, and I will try using the texture animation. And it also has a problem with the Blender game engine. It's not work yet for the game engines, but works for Blender render and cycle render. But already find out using the cycle render and Blender game engine is supposed to be works. I already see the tutorial in the YouTube, and it's quite very old topics for that one. Some of the grass is not animated because the generator is I generate the entire landscape actually as a whole at once, which is even just quarter size of the map. It's supposed to be generated in the actual area sections of the dynamic loadings. So if I can zoom for this grass, actually works for increasing the performance using the grass spawn right here, and this actually has a distance from the players will be activated and will be add objects from the hidden layers around here. And this is my own idea, my own tips for dynamic loading. It can be used into the other stuff as well, like modifiable tree, because it's of the object of this grass. You can see this very massive amount of grass, even of just section of this dynamic loading. It still has, a yellow in it, but still this section, very small section of this dynamic loading, is still decreasing the performance because it has a lot amount of texture, alpha texture, lots amount of the objects. Let me count how many of this. I think it's about 1000 grass objects. So I use the tricks of dynamic loading. You can see this is actually linked from the other file. If I use the near section and using the end object, it will crash the game. So I use the message system. It's gonna work. So if this detection, the main layers, detection from the player will be at the objects, and if this is further from the player, it will send a message rather than use a direct order to delete the grass objects, and not supposed to be works because it's library load or link objects. I think that's pretty much it, and I not only for grass, I will use for the other stuff. Not for grass, I said for the trees, for buildings, for entities perhaps. Also for entity, I think entities is not so much objects. I do this because there is so many objects to be spawned directly in the closer area, so from the further place from the players will be not added and automatically deleted. This is using the invert delete. If the player around here, this one will be deleted. If the player around here, the whole section of this 4 spawner will be spawned as a whole. Just 4 sections of this, and there's another section around this entire map around here. There's still many to do so. It still takes time to make the grass works. The whole grass in the maps. And that's pretty much for today's streaming. See you for next time. Maybe next time I'm going to improve the swimming, removing the physics, so it makes the swimming kind of works properly. And then after that, I'm going to finish the enemy. I'm going to complete the new enemy, which is the raptors or the dinosaurs. And maybe some for hunting, maybe not for now for that, because the hunting system from like infantry and combat system, even though I still not finished for archery, maybe after the enemy I will done for the archery to kill the enemy from range distance, the archery animation, and then after the archery animation I will add a new character as well, which is the mage character, straight directly to the fantasy concepts, because I still focus today on the survival elements in it. Okay, see you for the next streaming, and goodbye.